Deanna, good morning to you. Nice to see you again. We have the B team in today. That is to say me, and of course Professor Marston. She's 18, but in any event, give us a minute.
You can go ahead and get everybody to do their voice check, if you will.
Okay, let's do that. Alexander, you seem to be, are you connected? Apparently not. Anton, how about you? Let's check your sound and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm here and you can hear well.
Okay. You have, just for your own information, you have some feedback on your microphone, as if you had two microphones going at the same time, maybe the one on your computer and the external. So anyway. And Deanna, good morning to you.
Morning.
It's good to have you back again today.
And today we have two big things to talk about. One is the infamous video clip from the Jon Stewart show from fall of 2012, when the subject is Russian, in particular the Russian language and how it strikes the American ear. And so we would like to see if we can get going on this. So were you able to watch that video, for starters, and do you have questions about it? You have trouble understanding it, for example. Diana, have you watched this video from the Jon Stewart show?
I've watched this video and I can't understand why he laughing at our Prime Minister. Maybe because of his pronunciation. I don't know why.
Well, you have to appreciate that Jon Stewart is a comic. And so he does things to be funny. And I don't think he's doing it as an insult. He's really not that kind of a comedian.
There's also, Deanna, a long tradition in America of insulting or making fun of our leaders. That if you become one of our leaders, you become political or business or cultural. You become a target for comedians and cartoonists and mimics and people who will make fun of you. And perish the thought that you would make a mistake, because you will have that mistake, some sort of blunder. You will have that repeated back to you over and over again.
And so, in the case of this clip, one of the things that was perceived as a blunder is a statement that President Obama made to then President Medvedev. And it was something said that maybe wasn't meant to be shared with the world. But because of the wonder of recording, everything gets recorded. What was it that, what statement was it that Obama made that was repeated? It was, if we were writing a play direction, and you're going to have to help me with this. Oh, Alexander cannot hear us. We would say an aside, or the other thing that we might say, if it were an opera, we would use the Italian phrase sotto voce.
Or we might call it a stage whisper.
Oh yeah, good. But it's probably not really a stage whisper. Because he didn't seem to be aware of what he said. So what did he say? Did anyone catch what Obama said to the then president? That what statement did he make? You can put it in the chat, or you can speak it. And let's see. If you didn't get that, then did you get Medvedev's answer? I don't know if I have that name right yet. It's a hard name for me. The president of Russia made a response. What did he say? In the clip that you watched, there were subtitles on this. Does anybody have a clue? Okay. Yes, perfect. I will pass that information to Vladimir. And this is the phrase that the comic piece of Jon Stewart depends on. Now, when Jon Stewart repeats that phrase, he uses a different voice than the one where he said, where he was quoting Obama, that he'd have more flexibility after he gets reelected. What is the effect of Stewart's imitation? Diana, what do you say about this?
He laughing at Russian accent, but he laughing at the pronunciation of music.
It's more than that, more than the pronunciation, I think. It has something to do with his tone. And maybe to fully appreciate this, you have to know that what we're hearing is the voice of international intrigue on television. He does use a Russian accent, and he also lowers his voice considerably so that there's a sharp contrast.
I will pass this information to Vladimir.
Yes. So it's part of that. He wants to make it sound, oh, you think it sounds like Brezhnev? I do too. But for me, what I get is what on TV we get. The Russians are the bad guys on TV. And so this sounds like the Russian mafia, or maybe spies. What do you think? Does that sound like a Russian spy? I know you watch a lot of American television. What do you think, Anton? We're not hearing you now. Let's see. Anton, will you do your sound check again? Because we're not hearing you at all.
No sound.
Okay. Diana?
You hear me?
Yes. You get to talk. So do you know, what's your experience of Russians portrayed on American television?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfectly.
Oh, marvelous! Yeah. Well, what I was saying, it doesn't sound really like Russian mob or like spy to me, or maybe I haven't heard them for a long period of time, and yet it more sounds to me like a Soviet diplomat.
Yes. A Soviet diplomat. You know,
yes, something like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, so that's why you said Brezhnev.
Because the Russian mobsters doesn't speak with that kind of intonation. They're more like, well, I may say that Russian American criminals aren't really different, as far as I can judge.
Yeah, except for the funny accent, right?
Funny accent. Well, it depends, I guess.
So, so yes, that's a good point. So, why is this funny?
Why is it funny?
Yeah.
Well, I like the joke that Stuart said that if Russians were the enemy of the USA for so long time because they weren't sound friendly. Well, that's kind of a phonetical joke.
Yeah.
And he had nice exempli gratia. And yet, there are some difference in pronunciation of Russian and English, which most of Russians can't achieve because of lack of knowledge. But I'm learning the English phonetics in the university, so I know them.
Ah, yeah. So you have an advantage that not every student.
Some sort. Somehow I'm slightly better than usual mortal. Yeah.
Than mere mortals.
Yes.
If I wanted to put on a Russian accent, I would say, Anton, it's nice to see you today. How are you doing? Huh? So I sound like a Russian speaking English.
Well, not exactly, not exactly. It would sound like.
But you didn't let me finish. Go ahead.
Okay, okay. I'm very glad to see you. Have a nice day.
I would like you to speak Russian with an American accent. Can you do that?
Oh, that's harder. That's harder. Because we don't have such sounds in Russian that you have in English.
Well,
like we don't have a difference between double O and V.
Well, let me ask you a question. Sometimes on American movies, if we have a German character or a Russian character or a French character.
Oh, I see.
That person will speak English with a Russian accent or a French accent. And what I'm asking you, the fact that we don't have diphthongs or that Russian doesn't have diphthongs aside, can you mimic in Russian and American?
Я умею говорить по-английски. Yes.
Do that again?
Я умею говорить по-английски.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, marvelous. Just some aspiration and another sound event. Yeah. But that sounds more Deutsch, actually. More Deutsch.
Well, my ear is not good enough. It's not, so I couldn't tell the difference. But it sounded pretty good to me.
Imagine a makeup so healthy, your skin can grow more.
So, looking back at...
Imagine a makeup so healthy, your skin can grow more beautiful every time you wear it.
This is called, this clip is called The Bush Whisperer. What does that mean? Why would that be funny?
President Obama, who spent Monday on a soul trip.
Yeah, I like the joke about the soul trip. Yeah.
So, can you hear my audio now? I'm in a different room.
It's okay.
Leader
Okay.
Tabernacle Choir.
I brought this up just because I was going to
Even
show a
something as
picture.
simple as a
So
high-stakes nuclear disarmament conference in
I
Russia
am sorry
is
about
in the
this.
shadow of what many consider to be the world's most dangerous border.
But I'm going to let it run now that I've gone this far. And because I wanted to...
After my lunchtime,
so there are let's see if I can show that picture now. I'm in a new role today, and so everything is kind of a new challenge. What can I say? This is the key scene on which the drama is built. Now, when I listened to this, it sounded to me as though Medvedev said Vladimir, and now I know that most people would say Vladimir, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think that in addition to the other things that we think of as obviously funny, to me this struck my ear, and I thought, oh, he's saying this because he knows that Obama is not a speaker of Russian, and he wants to make a connection there. So that's part of the joke. And that gives us something to look at besides what we've been struggling with anyway. So, Chinese whispers. So borscht whisper is different.
What is a
this
Chinese?
Excuse me?
What is the Chinese whispers? I don't know that idiom. Is it English?
So tell us, Anton, what is Chinese whispers? We're not hearing you again.
It's 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Anton, we're having trouble with your audio. We do not hear you now. Deanna, do you know what Chinese whispers are?
Unfortunately, I don't know what does it mean, the Chinese whispers. I don't know this idiom.
Okay, I don't know either. So
I don't know either.
So Anton, if you can get your audio to work, just blurt it out, even if someone else is talking. And Alexander, you seem to have the ability to talk now, and I've unmuted. Will you try to talk? Oh, unproved information. No, ghost whisper and horse whisper are where this came from, and it's kind of a big joke at this point. Alexander, can you speak?
Hello, can you hear me
Hello.
now?
Yeah.
Oh, it's good to see you.
Yes.
I thought that you could not hear me, so I just didn't talk. It all
Yeah.
seems like the video conference didn't want to see me or something else. I don't know.
Yes, this has happened to me before as well. Did you ever hear of the American movie called The Horse Whisperer?
Can you repeat this? I'll make the sound louder a bit.
Here, all right. The Horse Whisperer.
I've put it in the chat. The Horse Whisperer was a movie, and Ghost Whisperer, which is more recent, was a television series. If you don't know that, can you imagine what a horse whisperer would do? Diana, do you have any idea what a horse whisperer would do? He's not a sort of jockey, but he does work with horses. And some horses are hard to deal with. And so the horse whisperer was famous in being able to gentle a horse, domesticating them, yes. Gentle a horse by whispering in its ear. And of course it's more complicated than that. So can you, by extension, say what a ghost whisperer might be? This was a fantasy show on television, The Ghost Whisperer. A ghost whisperer is a person who can communicate with ghosts. Now, she can see ghosts and talk to them, and the premise of that show was they had unfinished business with the living, and she helped them finish it. South Park, yes. Okay, so now we're back to the title of this piece, The Borscht Whisperer. This is funny to me in a lot of ways, but what does it tell you? Who is the Borscht Whisperer going to be about? Even before you see the show, when you see this title, who eats borscht? Yes, that's it. So the people who eat borscht are Russians, and Obama is whispering to them.
Marvelous.
But to me, the Borscht Belt means something else, and it would mean something else to Jon Stewart as well.
If we were to reverse this entire episode and we had Medvedev speaking to Obama, would we call Medvedev the hot dog whisperer? What would we call him?
Like this.
Huh? The hot dog.
There is a guy. He's a there is a guy. He is a commentator of computer games. So he calls everyone, not from Russia, not from CIS, maybe not only the Americans. He calls them hamburgers.
Hamburger. Hamburger whisperer.
Hamburger whisperer. Something like that.
It. Okay, before we leave Borscht.
Oh. What we're afraid of, that he is ready to uncork for his last 4 years, and Obamacare and the radical stuff he is already flirting with is just the tip of the iceberg. Now that could be wrong, of course.
Okay. That was my bad. And it might still be my bad.
Imagine a makeup so healthy, your skin can grow more beautiful.
Okay, now I have killed it. So, get the chat up again. The Borscht Belt.
The Borscht Belt.
Jon Stewart is a comedian. He is a comedian from New York. And he comes from a long line of comedians that go way back to before radio, when comedians just performed in front of a live audience. And there are a number of small venues all over New York and the surrounding states where comedians were famous for performing more than in other parts of the country. And they tended to be Eastern European and predominantly Jewish. Wouldn't you say that's right, Joe?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so Borscht has another resonance for me. Besides that, it's attached to the idea of a certain kind of comic, of which Jon Stewart is only the most recent.
But there are I can only think of one, and that would be Henny Youngman. But he's one of many comedians who, in the 40s and 50s, made names for themselves in the Borscht Belt.
And a lot of comedians got their starts in the Catskills, in the Borscht Belt. Mm-hmm. Okay, was there anything else about the Jon Stewart clip that I left unturned? Diana, you were kind of puzzled about the whole intent of the whole thing. Was this at all elucidating to you? Did it help you understand?
Mm-hmm. I understand. I've understood the differences between the horse whispers, Chinese whispers, and ghost whisper, and so I can understood what the main idea of this clip?
Good.
Yes. For me, the main idea has to do with how the sound of a Russian hits the American ear, how Americans are going to perceive that accent. And so it's that part, that accent, and the long-standing rivalry particularly between the between the Soviet Union and the United States, that makes this funny.
In English, some accents are considered prestigious, and a British accent in American English is perceived as prestigious, and so is a French accent perceived as prestigious. A Russian accent is perceived as rough and aggressive and confrontation, and that's just the accumulation of perceptions, and it may or may not be true, but it's nevertheless the case.
And it's also something about Russians speaking English because of the differences in syntax and the way people express themselves between Russian and English, that makes Russian seem kind of brusque. Mm-hmm. But in this case, it's not the brusqueness, it's the whole idea of, we have this stereotype of Russians as spies. And the whole confidentiality of this interchange that lent itself to Jon Stewart making a big deal about how it sounds, you know, like "have a nice day" in English.
Speak into the wristwatch, please.
Yes.
Even the caption under the picture that's there which leaves out the helping verbs.
Yeah.
That's a typical Russian construction. I transmit this information to Vladimir. I transmit.
And actually, Medvedev speaks quite good English, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And if he didn't, Jon Stewart would have been less likely to make fun of this interchange. But it's not that he's making fun of the Russians, but of American perceptions of the Russians. That's how I see it anyway.
At the time, Jon Stewart notwithstanding, but if you look at the mainstream views at the time of this conversation, the American media were Obama said, well, I will deal with that after the election, meaning what, and I remember the incident was controversial. Obama said, after the election, I can deal with this more freely. And Medvedev said, I will transmit this information. Well, Obama is a clever political maneuverer. And he knew that if he could just stall or postpone action on whatever the issue was, that after the election, he could do it without provoking a great deal of controversy. And Professor Marston, do you even remember what the issue was?
It was the reduction of the nuclear arsenal.
Ah, goodness gracious, that's a serious one.
Yes, yes. And it was a big deal. And it upsets all of the American hawks. So what's a hawk?
Let's see, we have Ilya and Katya. But do you know the difference between, in politics, what is the difference in American politics? What is the difference between a hawk and a dove? A hawk and a dove. Katya, Ilya, Diana. A hawk and a dove.
I think it has to do with a hawk being a predator.
And are doves peacemakers? I'll tell you something. Well, they're perceived as peacemakers. I'm watching as I sit here. I'm looking out my window and watching white-winged doves fighting for seed at my bird feeder, and white-winged doves can be fairly aggressive. Even among themselves, and particularly aggressive to the smaller house sparrows. But it's the image of the dove.
There's also the expression the pecking order.
That's it.
Which I guess is going to. So. Yes, you're exactly right, Anton. The dove is appropriate only for the image, not necessarily for its behavior. A pigeon, not necessarily. We have those hawks. Traditionally, when we talk about war in this country, hawks and doves are the two sides. Hawks who want war and doves who don't want war. And a famous senator who is always a hawk is John McCain.
John McCain.
Senator John McCain is a hawk, and currently he's been talking about bombing Iran or any place else in the Middle East that he can get people. He's still a militarist. I don't think you can say he's a former militarist. He's ready to bomb. He was famous during one of the years when he was campaigning for president, where he parodied a song. And the song is called Barbara Ann, and and so it goes Barbara Ann, but what he said was bomb Iran. So did you look at the translation challenge?
The translation of the poem by Stephen Colbert. Are you sure?
maybe we can look at that as the first part of it and see what you can make of it.
Do you have the text that we could post?
I'm going to go take a picture of it.
Terrific.
But I can't seem to talk and do that at the same time today. So, I'm sure. We're going to do it in pieces.
You are put all on screen.
Yes. And so now share file.
Oh, terrific.
Here's the beginning of this. And
That's it. That's the beginning.
We need someone to read this. How about you, Ilya? Can you turn on your microphone and begin reading? Did you hear that? No?
Yes, I have. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Nice. Start to read?
Yes, please.
Did you hear that? No? You're probably going deaf. It's your kids back home cooking up some crystal meth. Did you turn off the oven? Did you set the alarm? They still haven't caught the man with now. Look around at these people. How safe do you feel? I think, no, it's not a text. Your car when you parked, did you remember to lock it? Thinking reasonably odd. No one has a pickpocket.
Okay, thank you. And I agree that I think in the last line there was a comment made that no one hears a pickpocket without. Okay, this is read in front of a group of people. What's wrong with this statement?
The last line.
No one hears a pickpocket.
The
How
last,
would you transcribe that? Can you put it in the chat? Everybody take a crack at it. No one hears a pickpocket. What's another way to write hears in English?
The issue is with the word hears. No one hears a pickpocket. Well, that's one interpretation, is that the thieves are silent. But that's and that may be correct, except the larger context and the fact that this was read in front of a crowd suggests another interpretation. Thinking reasonably, odds are no one hears a pickpocket. No one hears a pickpocket. Anyone have an interpretation of that? Diana, what do you think? No one hears a pickpocket. Katya, Ilya, Diana? No one hears a pickpocket.
Okay, think about the word hears.
Hears.
If you did not see H-E-A-R-S, but you only heard hears, what's another word in English? Yes, good, Ilya. No one
here's a pickpocket. Никто здесь не pickpocket.
It's a safe thing to say, okay. So I agree that someone transcribed this incorrectly because this makes less sense than the other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what is the general theme of this poem? What is everything in this poem about? Okay, tell me what's positive about this poem. Okay, in order for, let's look at the first couplet, the first two lines. They rhyme, sort of. Deaf and meth rhyme, so just taking that much. Yes, it's about everybody's fears, everyday fears, and even blacker than that, despair. But it's kind of, in Stephen Colbert's traditional style, it's flippant. So let's just look at the first two lines. What are the fears that he's calling up? Deanna, would you read those first two lines and talk about them? Yes.
Continue. Do you hear that? No, you're probably going deaf. It's your kids back home cooking up some crystal meth.
Okay, so what are the fears that are evoked in those two lines?
There are two fears, two sources for despair in these two lines. Deanna, what are they? Two things that one might worry about. You need some help?
Yes.
Okay, gambling. No. What about Deanna? Just read the first line again.
Did you hear that? No, you're probably going deaf.
Okay. Listen to the intonation. Did you hear that? No, you're probably going deaf. Did you hear that? No, you're probably going deaf. You didn't hear that? You didn't hear it? Well, probably because you're going deaf. So that's one fear, that you're going deaf. You didn't hear that?
And for the young people of the last two generations, maybe, there are more people going deaf than in the past because they used to listen to loud music, like at rock concerts. They still do, actually, without any ear protection. My grandson, the would-be rock star, tells me that when you go to a concert now, you're supposed to wear earplugs.
Whoa. Well. All right. Did you hear that? No? You're probably going deaf. So what is it that we're not hearing? The second line tells us what we're not hearing, what it is that we're not hearing.
Diana, do you want to address that?
We are not hearing and we are not see and hear the problems which happened with our children.
Mm-hmm.
No?
No, close. You're getting closer. What you're not hearing is your kids. And where are the kids? Remember, he's in like a theater right now. So he says, you can't hear that? No? It's your kids. Where are the kids, Diana? Where are the kids? The kids are back home. And what are they doing there? What are they doing?
Cooking up some crystal meth. It's drugs.
Yeah. It's a methamphetamine. It's a drug. And I have no idea what it sounds like to cook crystal meth, and if somebody were cooking it, even if I could hear it, I probably wouldn't know what it is. But that's not the point. The point is that he's making, well, not only are you going deaf, but your children in your own house are preparing drugs. Well, that's very serious. That's very serious. Let's go ahead and read those lines again, okay? And use your Stephen Colbert tone. Did you hear that? No? You're probably going deaf. It's your kids back home cooking up some crystal meth. Try that again, Diana.
Did you hear that? No? You're probably going deaf. It's your kids back home cooking up some crystal meth.
Bravo. Well done. Well done. Well done. Who's got the next two lines?
Oh, before we go on, yeah, you put a very provocative statement in the chat. You wrote, I think it also touches the problem of rights of kids in the USA. Can you explain what you mean?
Yes, of course. I think that this problem is about that the kids in USA have a lot of rights and a lot of problems when the parents can't touch and
So what would you say are the rights that they have that Russian kids wouldn't have?
Yeah, I think we've lost you somehow. Whoopsie daisy.
Okay, so I'm wondering about and so Ilya, can you talk now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think that it touches the problem because of children in USA have a lot of defense in the courts, exactly. and the parents definitely can't to punish, for example, the children. They can go to court and punish their parents with maybe some kind of this.
I'm a little confused by that because children who are adolescents may choose not to go with their parents, so that they might be home. I can get that, but cooking up crystal meth is very much, this plays on the parents.
Did you set the alarm? They still haven't caught the man with one arm. Here is that people sometimes go away from home and don't know if they turned off the oven, the alarm, and something else. So it's my fear.
So anyway, but you know, you know exactly what he's talking about here. The oven, the iron, the coffee pot, the door. Did you turn off the lights?
Yeah.
Good. And the second fear?
And the man with one arm is, I think,
is what? A lockpicker.
Lockpickers, maybe.
Oh.
Lock, yeah.
That's interesting, but this is a TV illusion.
Maybe.
The Man with One Arm is a reference to a TV show.
No, I don't know. I don't watch TV shows, so.
This is from an old television show from the 1960s, I think. The name of the show was The Fugitive. The Fugitive.
What is a fugitive?
This is the only video I remember when I hear something about the man with one arm or something else.
You're right about one-armed bandit. That is. Okay, so
yeah, one-armed bandit is like a lottery automat or something like this.
Yeah. A slot machine.
A slot machine.
Yeah, slot machine.
But that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I see.
and the story of The Fugitive was about a doctor whose wife was killed, and he was convicted of the murder, and he escaped, and he was a fugitive. He was running away from the law, trying to prove that someone else killed his wife, but a man with one arm. And it was a very, very popular show, and at the very last episode, in the early 60s, I remember watching it. He finally found the man with one arm and vindicated himself, exonerated himself. They still haven't caught the man with one arm. And for years, for 2 or 3 or 4 television seasons, America was preoccupied with the man with one arm. Now, did you turn off the oven? Did you set the alarm? They still haven't caught the man with one arm. So we have 3 fears there, 3 worries, 3 things that are concerning us. The first one is real. Did you turn off the oven? The second one is real. Did you set the alarm? They still haven't caught the man with one arm. Is that a real fear?
The fear may be real, but the man with one arm is fiction.
It's fiction.
It's like a boogeyman.
Or it's like Chicken Little saying, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. And there's nothing really to be afraid of here, the man with one arm. Even though it was fictional, it certainly commanded everyone's attention. This is what people would talk about.
So now the focus changes in this narrative poem back to the present. And who would like to read this and talk about it? We're really only going to talk about the first line, for my money. Look around at these people, how they do feel it. Who will read that and talk about it? Okay, how about you, Anton? Will you please read this and let's talk about this. Anton? Okay, I think we're getting something. Okay, so Ilya?
Okay. Look around at these people. How safe do you feel? I think that it describes a lot of different fears, starting from the fear of terrorism and ending by the fear such like different illness, viruses, and etc.
Good for you.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Good for you. So we're in a crowd, we're in a theater, and he says to look around, look at these people, look on your left, look on your right. How safe do you feel? You don't know them. You have no idea whether they're ill or whether they're terrorists, whether they're criminals.
And it does sort of evoke paranoia.
Mm-hmm.
But then we go from the crowd, we skip back to someplace else from here. And then we come back to the crowd again. So, Ilya, will you go ahead and read those next two lines?
Okay.
Your car.
Your car, when you parked, did you remember to lock it? Thinking reasonably, odds are, no one has a pickpocket.
Yeah, no one hears a pickpocket. You really need to stress that word. Okay, so when you parked, did you remember to lock it? I drive an old car, and I must push the button down in the door. Joe, you will remember my car, the Stealth Miata.
I do, with the stick shift automatic with a manual transmission.
Yeah, it's now 18 years old.
Ooh.
And so it doesn't have automatic anything. So I must remember to lock it. And most cars that are around me now, you can lock remotely.
With a little lock.
Yeah, it's a key fob. But I don't have this, and so if I'm carrying a passenger in my car, I say a little sing-song thing. Please lock the door when you exit the vehicle. And this is a kind of playing with words. Ordinarily, I'd say lock the door when you get out. But I make it this formal language because I don't want anyone to not think about this when they get out. So, and then we go back to the crowd. Thinking reasonably. Okay. It says reasonably, but we know he's actually playing on your fear. Then odds are. What does that mean, odds are?
Odds are no one here is a pickpocket. Odds are. Anyone? Dame, Gaspada? Odd means weird, yes. It's a gambling term. Odds are. Odds are. Odds. Odds are a shorthand way of saying the probability of something occurring. If there is a 66% probability that something will happen, that it will rain today, I would say the odds are 2 to 1 that it will rain. Those are the odds. Those are the odds. And so the odds are, we say, according to probability, Navier Nakar is probably, not probability. Probably. Probability is a mathematical term, really. You're very close, and you're in the right ballpark. But I guess Navier Nakar would work here.
And while I can't address the Russian, I can address the English. Probably is an adverb, and probability is a noun. They have different grammatical functions.
Okay, so those are the odds. You say, well, what are the odds that it will rain today? And you might say, well, the odds are even. That the odds are even. 1 to 1. Even. Or the odds are 2 to 1, or 3 to 1, or 4 to 1, or 5 to 1. 5 to 1. 5 to 1. The odds. So you're saying, well, in the sentence, thinking reasonably, odds are no one here is a pickpocket. You say, well, odds are, meaning the odds are very high that no one here is a pickpocket. probability is low. The odds are high. Okay, so if you hear this expression, odds are I am not coming to Russia this summer, which means there's a very high probability that I will not be there. That's a hard cut. Do all of you, is anyone there a mathematician?
Okay, so in the meantime, Igor has just joined us. Welcome. And I've put up another section of Stephen Colbert's poem, and we need someone to read. Who would like to do that? Okay, so
can you hear me?
yes, I can hear
Oh,
you.
marvelous. Fantastic. Okay, the next passage is, that guy who just coughed down your neck, could he have an infection? The restaurant where you went to brunch, did it fail its health inspection? It's quite obvious that this fear of getting sick, as the medical insurance is quite expensive, as far as I know. And also, well, the line about restaurant is the fear of getting poisoned.
Yes, getting poisoned from bad food, or sometimes kitchens who fail their health inspection have bugs or rats. Yeah,
maybe parasites or something.
Yeah, that would be really bad. And so that makes me wonder, do your restaurants have health inspections?
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, well, there are some cases when people got blood and brain parasites through rolls in sushi bars. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sushi bars, that's a big fear.
Although I do rolls anyway.
Yeah. There are places where I go in this country where I would not eat sushi, but so then we need someone to look at the next thing. Katja, do you have a working microphone now? It kind of looks like it. I can see that your microphone is emitting a signal. Can you try to speak again? Hey, you're going to have to help me with this, Alexander. Oh, okay. I can get it. I haven't heard that yet. I mean, this is not a part of what I know. So you probably watch something on television that I don't. That would be a common source for that. So, we had Igor here, and now I don't see him. So, so in the next couplet we have, the name of the poem comes up. And we seem to be on a theme. Would you read the next little bit for us, Diana? Beginning with a madman could set loose a virus. And this will be where we end it. Could you just read that for us?
Read the next passage, yes? A madman could set loose a virus from which there isn't a cure. And while these things may be unlikely, ask yourself, are you sure? It is fear about getting poisoned from women. No?
No, from a virus.
A virus.
That would be...
And why madam?
No, not madam. Madman.
Madman.
A crazy person.
Madman.
You would be right if it was madam. A madam, used like that without a name, is the person who is in charge of a whorehouse, a house of prostitution. And she might set loose a virus, but that's not the case here. Yes. So now we have come to the end of our time, and tomorrow is, or next week, is the last class of the semester, and we will be asking you to first write about what you have learned this semester, and we'll be talking about that again as well. We're going to ask you to make a recording on the WebbyLang site, and you will be getting more instructions about that soon, I hope. We'll try not to let it go to more than a day or two. And tell me if you've heard anything about this already. I guess not. Well, I think you've done a brilliant job today, and I thank you for your participation, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Until next week. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Marston, I'll see you in 30 minutes.
Yes, in the meantime, I will figure out how to shut off the recorder and get those things done. And thank you. This is
my pleasure.
This is good.
Always. All right.